So, I just got back from the Camosun Bog lab and it was a nice and fun walk and all. And I took some pretty nice photos on my phone in my opinion. It was a good experience, but like, what did we actually learn there? Alright, so let's summarize what we learned in the Camosun Bog lab. First of all, I'm kinda sick, so I'm sorry if my voice sounds a bit weird or wonky. Okay, so in summary, we learned about bog formation, sphagnum moss, bog dynamics, and impacts from the library. We'll get to that later. Alright, if you're too lazy to watch this video, then by all means, go ahead to the FRST 201 Canvas page and just read the lab summary. But if you're bored and you have nothing better to do, then feel free to stick around. Alright, so a bog is defined as a wet, muddy ground too soft to support a heavy body. The soft, wet, and muddy ground is a result of dummy thick organic matter, or peat, and wet soil accumulation due to a lot of rain and poor drainage. Bogs have poor drainage due to developed hardpan and lack of streams that could help move the water away. Glaciers from the most recent ice age contributes a lot to the formation of today's bogs, as the receding glacier results in potholes in the landscapes. The receding glacier leaves impermeable silt and clay layers, which eventually gives the bog their poor drainage characteristics. The potholes that I mentioned before are then filled with water, eventually forming to be bogs. So it's safe to say that a lot of the bogs around here started as glaciers that recede. The lack of streams mean that most of the water is from rainfall, which is slightly acidic and low in nitrogen. The rainfall plus poor drainage makes the bog anaerobic. But Manta, what do you mean anaerobic? There's a lot of plants and mosses and stuff in the bog that produces oxygen, right? Well, bogs are often cold with low water flow, hence all biological activity, even those of the plants and decomposers, are significantly slowed down, meaning that the oxygen production is also slowed down. The low decomposition rate plus the acidic environments contribute to the formation of peat, that dummy thick matter made of partially decayed matter. As mentioned before, there are some plant and moss species that dominate the bog, yet most of the dominant one are sphagnum mosses. There are various kinds of sphagnum moss around the world, but their role in the bog ecosystem is pretty similar across the board, I think. To live in the peat bog environment, sphagnum mosses require low nutrients and are acidic, making them resistant to bacteria. Their bacterial resistance made them usable as diapers for the First Nations and bandages by people in the First World War. The professor also said that sphagnum moss can be used as tampons and toilet paper, as these mosses are very water absorbent. Okay, so this is what a toilet paper looks like, and this is what a sphagnum moss looks like. Now imagine that rubbed in your... Besides for wiping and cleaning your body, sphagnum moss can also be burned for fuel and making munitions. Yes, munitions. You can kill people using sphagnum. Basically, sphagnum moss is acidic and multifunctional and beneficial for humans. That's a takeaway. Speaking of humans, people kinda contributed to significant changes on the bog over the years. Vancouver's development obviously shrunk the bog, and the development of housings and installations of drainage tiles around the bog declines the water table, whilst adding more inflowing water. This causes sphagnum to decompose faster, adding the bog's nutrient availability. The decline in water table also means a decline in mosquito populations. Mosquitoes need water to breed, and their larvae live underwater. So the declining water table gives them a very hard time. The increasing nutrient amounts made it possible for trees such as hemlock to grow in these sites, with some other understory invasive species, turning some of the parts of the bog into a forest. Okay, honestly, it's kinda hard for me to paraphrase this part, so I'm just gonna read off the lab summary and do my best to explain or summarize to you. One of the biggest impacts from urban development is due to the underground sedgewich library, which is now known as the Corner Library. Yes, that one in the center of campus. That library was built in the late 1970s and till was dumped and excavated on the west edge of the Camosun Bog because of the development. That till has been undergoing primary succession ever since, with invasion of red alder and recently black cottonwood and some western red cedar. Western red alder is a strong nitrogen fixing species, yet species with a lower nitrogen fixing rate such as Sitka alder are also present in that invasion. By the way, nitrogen turns into ammonium when fixed, which needs to be broken down again into nitrate by some kinds of plants and microorganisms. Otherwise, ammonia can be dangerous to a lot of other organisms and to the environment. Now, the stronger a plant fixes nitrogen, the higher the leaf area index is, as nitrogen fixation requires a lot of energy, and leaves can help plants photosynthesize and gain energy, so it's a pretty easy way to understand that. Humans also played a role in fixing nitrogen through the Haber process. This process has roughly doubled the nitrogen availability on Earth, shifting plant communities to dominance by more nitrophilic species, reducing diversity for other less competitive species. All of this excess nitrogen and ammonia from the nitrogen fixation leaches through the sedgewich till, flowing downhill towards the bog below, hence accelerating the loss of the bog habitat. The excess nitrogen gets fixed to ammonia by strong nitrogen fixers, which are mostly invasives such as alder. Now that ammonia plus all the ammonia from the industry leaching means a lot of ammonia in the bog, and the bog does not have a lot of creatures that break down ammonia. Hence, the ammonia just stays there and becomes a problem, leading to accelerated bog habitat loss. So basically, industrial leach and invasive species cause too many nitrogen, which becomes too many ammonia in the bog, which is a problem, because too many ammonia is bad. It's basically kind of toxic. Alright, so that's basically everything that I can explain or you probably need to know for the FRST 201 part of the Camosun lab. Well, there are some plant species in the plant list and stuff, but I think the plant book does a pretty good job of explaining them to you. Also, I'm too tired to try and explain all of them to you guys, and you guys probably won't watch due to boredom, so read the book. That last part of the lab recap video honestly was kind of tricky for me to understand despite having lots of background knowledge regarding nitrogen cycle, so I hope that I can make it a little easier for you to understand, or maybe I'm just dumb, I don't know. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I hope that you guys enjoyed my video, and like and sub for more. And give me more feedback, or just let me know what you think about the video in the comment section below, or you can just say hi or something. Alright, thanks for watching, and see you guys around.